Well, I decided this would be a great day to make some videos. I've pretty much recovered from all the last ones I did, but where I showed y'all how I did the baby bear in the last one, this one I've got to show y'all how I carve a little guinea pig from just a piece of block. I told you in the last one that the temptation was for the what became the baby bear to become a guinea pig, but didn't turn out that way. But I kind of carved out another little block of cedar that was left over from where I'd been building my shelves, and it came out the perfect shape for a guinea pig. And I've already drawn the lines into it, but I haven't burnt them yet. And I'm going to kind of show a little demonstration as to how I will carve this guinea pig. First of all, I do want to tell you all that those blocks of cedar, they were donated to me by a lady who had somebody give them to her as a gift for her and her family, for her to bring to me and for me to make gifts for them out of. There was a certain thing she wanted carved out of one of them, which, you know, there was quite a story to this, quite a struggle to this, but I mean, cedar was not designed by God to carve what she wanted carved out of it, nor was the pattern anything that would work with cedar, so I couldn't do it as detailed as I otherwise would have, but gave it my best shot, and she liked it anyway. But I told her she was welcome to have the blocks back if she needed them, knowing that I couldn't make what she was hoping for, certainly not something that was as big as the block. But she said that she'd rather they be with somebody who has a use for them. Finally came up with a use for them, and finally used them to build a set of shelves that I can take to my shows and have more room to display more of my work on, so there's more space on the table for things to be laid out. And whenever I was cutting little squares out to fit the shelves together, I came up with these little scraps like this, one of which I carved that last guinea pig from, and about to demonstrate to you all now how I do it. There was a little saw mark on here about at the place where the ears are, so I was able to draw the line across that saw mark at the top to make the ears. And I will tell you all how I'm going to go about this. It all started out with the fact that I kind of had to go behind the ears here to make this little place in the back where you kind of carve the back of the guinea pig out. And I say that this is just how we're making it come along. You do it on both sides here. I am unsure as to whether I picked a bad piece of block or not a sharp enough knife, but we're kind of doing it the best way we can. There's places where we kind of go behind the ears and behind the tail, kind of show you all how a little work is making it to a long way to make it so that we make the back of the guinea pig so it kind of fits the head against the body, against the ears. And there's a place where we're going to come along the back here, kind of show y'all a little work as how we always do this, and take the guinea pig to the next level. And I say, oh goodness, I say that we got a little work coming along here. It's probably going to come out just fine for us once we get it all done with. Make the pig so it's so much work for you and me to do. And I say that this is just how the beginning is. We kind of carved out the back and the butt here. and kind of gotta trim along the edges to make it round at the top. And there's another little thing we're going to do here. We're going to do the same thing along the front on the other side of the ears. This is the part that becomes the head of the guinea pig. And we kind of work along this way, make it so it comes out so much better here. And a lot to say, a lot to do. Oh, I tell y'all, oh, little work in this little thing, I say. Oh, work comes this way and makes it so we see a little thing, see what we do. Oh, guinea pig comes out this way, and it just makes me think all the stories I heard back in my old days when I used to have a MySpace account back in 2006. There'd be a certain video I'd watch on MySpace about this girl who was in England who had this little guinea pig, and she kind of took like a leftover bag of chips, and it was just kind of a little plastic bag the chips were in, and she kind of did a little trick to make the guinea pig walk into it and get its head stuck in it, and the guinea pig just struggled to get out, and she took it right back out and laughed. And so many people were on the video talking about how they thought she was so cruel to it, and she was just kind of having fun playing her games. But I know of all things, you know, there's some of these creatures, you know, you kind of have to be responsible for. You have to take them out, give them walks. Like, they don't just stay in a cage all the time. They require a little more exercise because they're mammals, warm-blooded mammals. And what you'll see here is I've come along, made the ears the way I have, but there's another thing we have to do to kind of make the ears come out a little better, is draw these little lines and show how we're going to work along it. And I say that it's just the things in life where we kind of show what we do. And here we go. We're going to work a ways about this. We kind of got to show how these can come out, and there's a little trick we do, kind of make lines around the ears like I just did, carve along those. This little thing, it really isn't much trouble to carve. It's just a few little simple steps. That's why it could go for cheap at one of my shows. Be one of my cheaper little items, you know. And in a carving like this, it's okay to let the facets show. You don't have to sand them away or nothing. You know, a little creature like this is probably kind of furry, and probably good to have the facets show so they make it out like it has a little fur on it. And the little work shall come this way and make itself to you, and see how you do, see how you feel. And we finally come out with the very best design in the end, coming out with a lot of facets showing here. We kind of got to do the top of the head quite a little bit of a similar way. There comes a time we kind of round these ears a little bit, I say, oh, the time we do our work like this and make it so it's beautiful and everything, and see how little work, my. Oh, the good times. It's just a little thing where we take a little work and make a little special thing out of it. I will say that since we kind of equal things out a little bit here, might even go and see if I can maybe find that other one I just did and come along. What do we do here? And I don't know what I did with that other one, but there's going to be a little work come along on it too if I find it. And it's right here. I think I might kind of make a little more facets on this one as well. Kind of rough it out to make it look like it has a little more fur. And you're going to see in the end that I take this little pig and sort of like draw these lines to make its face. I'm going to take a pencil and draw quite similar lines on this one to make its two eyes. And try to make them so they're kind of even, both vertically and horizontally, so that they're about the same height and the same width across. And compared to this one probably needs a little more trimmed off the forehead, so just to kind of come down to where we will make the nose. So as for a little work we do like this, we're gonna make it so it comes out so much better. And I say that little times in work in life, I say. Oh, now, and where we got the little thing for its nose and its mouth in here, we're probably going to do something similar right here. Draw another line here to make the nose, and then draw a couple, two or three more lines to kind of make the rest of the face here, so that the face turns out like it's supposed to be. And that is how we got that work done. I do believe these will turn out to be better guinea pigs. And now we're going to stop the video and long enough to go over to the wood burning table. Now y'all may know that in the last video I kind of did a little thing where I demonstrated the burning with the baby bear. There's going to be a similar burning process to make the face of the guinea pig. So we've kind of got them right here, and there's a little one where with this we kind of have to make little burning lines, and how we're going to do it is quite similar to how it was with the last, to make the eyes and the nose and the mouth. So we've got a hot skew tip pin here. We're going to put it along where the line for the nose is drawn and do it just like this. We're going to make another line that goes right down the center just like this, and make another line that goes down each angle of the mouth to make more of the guinea pig. And so we're going to do the same on this one as well. We've got the line here made for the nose, This is probably my first time here on video, I mean ever, that is, doing it for the guinea pig. And you can use a skew tip to do all of it, unlike with the baby bear, because there are curves in the baby bear's mouth, but this one just has straight lines. So that's pretty much all you have to do. We're going to switch over to this pen, and we're going to use it to sort of like to, you know, make the lines the way we do. And there are 4 different directions you turn the pen. First forward, then sideways, then to this corner, then to this corner. So we're going to show right here how that gets done. Like, first of all, to the front, sideways, diagonally one direction, then diagonally the other. And that's how I like to put it, is to show you all these in simple directions. Of all things I learned about guinea pigs in books as a kid, I learned that despite their names, they are not pigs. They are actually rodents or gnawing animals. But they get their name because they kind of have a little squeal like a pig. I got a little thing over here. Might kind of get it out, show it a little bit. It's just a little work that I think is going to make its way to us. I mean, I'd probably prefer a piece that is worn out over a piece that is good, because a little piece of sandpaper that's worn out is likely to take off the pencil marks, but not as likely to ruin the facets in the wood. So that's how we kind of come with this. I'm gonna try to sand around here, and you know, you don't really ruin the facets too much if you use a piece of sandpaper that is old enough and worn out enough. So that's kind of the best thing to use here. It's a 220 grit I've got here, and it's going to kind of make it so we can kind of see all that's in the guinea pig, the facets and all, without really ruining the wood, making it too plain and too smooth. So we're going to kind of sand along on this little buddy here too, try to make it so it'll come out so much better in life. And I say that this is how it goes. Sometimes even the creatures people like to keep as pets, I like to make them as well, because, you know, they're the most popular. They're the kind people can keep as pets, so they're most often, I'd say, probably the creatures people want. So I make them just like that, and come up with little ways to salvage them, make use of them, show them. And I'd say, of all things, it's okay if the bottom is a little rough and has a little saw mark in it. And I'd say at this point we're probably going to do a little something else, and I think I'm going to take them back to the other station and demonstrate putting on the little "I choose charity over bitterness" labels. So I decided to just really make a stop long enough to go over and get the labels, because there's going to be a little more work to be done in this little shop too once we go a little further. So that is the reason why I decided to bring it all over here. And sometimes I print the Logan in very small print so it fits on things in kind of a way where I can kind of cut the label down like I'm doing with the scissors here, to where it is down to just the words, so that it won't be taking too much space, where you're going to need to be burning in numbers and letters to tell more about your product. So I would have decided I'm going to make these little cuts along these edges, make the labels so they are very tiny. Kinda, I'd say, like, put them underneath the guinea pig, and I'd say make it so it goes right on just about like this. And I'd say I will do the same with this one as well on the other one. And just to kind of keep from wasting labels, I sort of will print two slogans onto one label with columns when they're small like that, just to try to use more on one sheet instead of kind of using up too many sheets. And so I've already put it on this one too. There's a little thing we also do is, since they're made of cedar, something we're going to do is we're going to burn in the word cedar underneath it. We do it just like that. And we're going to do it more to the front of this other one as well. And as for how a little work comes along, we kind of can have a lot we can go to show in the end. When it comes down to all we can do, I'd say we got it on this one too. Now we're going to do a couple other things. We're going to burn in my initials, JDP, and we're going to burn in the year, which is 2022. Pretty soon it'll be 2023 in just a few months. So that's how we've come along to this, and say I just burned my initials into here, JDP, and now we're going to burn in 2022, which is the year. And you know, so much I've got to demonstrate on this, and so much more for you all to learn. It's kind of a real crafty way to do things here. That's how I took care of that. And we're going to do the same things with this one here. Put in JDP, my initials, and then we're going to put in the year 2022. So here's how we got that going. And we got a few numbers in here to burn, so we're going to challenge that. And it all comes down to making the numbers just as they need to be. So now we got that taken care of. We're turning the wood burner off because we're about to use some super glue, and am not sure as to whether that's flammable or not, but probably a good precaution not to have the wood burner on while you're using it. So we've got the label on here now, and we're going to put the super glue on and laminate it with that. And as for how this shall come out, kind of got to do it real lightly so that the label doesn't get stuck to the cloth and come off the wood. I've had that happen before plenty of times with at times when I've been doing this. One thing I learned from Calvin Grant back when I was turning pins with him was that sometimes when we turn pins on the lathe, we put super glue on a little piece of paper towel and hold it on the piece of wood for the pin that was turning on the lathe, and that was how we laminated the pin. Of course, he found better things over time that he started to use, and turning pins was never something that I stayed with because probably wasn't something I enjoyed all that much. But here I say is how we come along this little piece of work here, and I say that this is what makes it oil proof, because eventually you're going to have to soak these guinea pigs in the oil, and if you wait until after soaking it to try to put the label probably won't go on because the wood will be oily, and you want to laminate it before putting it in because that way, the oil will replenish the wood, but of course the lamination of the super glue will protect the label. So that's how we always need it to be. And even if you put it on dry wood and keep it there for years, it's going to come off eventually if you don't laminate it, because sometimes the label can kind of lose its stickiness a little bit over years. And I've put that little sign on so many things I've made for years, even before I started carving, even before I started oiling and everything. And there were the times probably from about my early teens to mid 20s that I always kind of worked with just scroll saw wood and painted it and put these little labels on things. And so I say that this is how work comes along, and I like for the slogan to stay on things now that I know how to keep it there. So that's a little bit more how I kind of make things work for me. And I'd say for all things, we're kind of shining this up and making it so the label will be proof of all the elements that are needed in order to finish the wood. And so there comes a moment when we kind of let the glue dry up a little bit, and as soon as it does, it will be of good nature. Might turn the video off for a moment just to kind of give this glue some time to dry, and then come back as soon as it is and demonstrate how we place them in the oil. Well, now I've been doing a little work, kind of uploading the last two sections of the video to Amazon Photos for my tablet and downloading them from that to my computer so that they can be uploaded to YouTube. They all will be by the time you get to see this. More than likely all be joined together into all the clips into one to be uploaded, which you might be watching the end of right now. But now is finally the point where the glue has dried up, and one thing we're going to do is we're going to take this little jelly jar, Hillbilly Jam. I will tell you little stories about Hillbilly Jam probably in the end, but as for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the two little cedar carved guinea pigs into the jar, and we're going to fill it up with boiled linseed oil. That is what they soak in. That's what a lot of the things I carve soak in for several days. I might kind of keep them in for at least 5 days at the least, maybe a week at the most. And we kind of set them aside just like we did there. And I'll tell you little stories now about Hillbilly Jam. And what I want to mention is that there's a place here in Lexington called Local Lex Market, which I was introduced to as a place where a lot of artists sell their work. One day when I have a whole lot more stuff made and enough stuff to carry there that would be a little too much for my shows and all, one day I'll be able to pay for a membership there and put my stuff in there and have my stuff sold there. And it's kind of expensive. You have to kind of make enough to be able to cover the cost of the rent and make much more in addition to that. I probably don't have enough stuff to go there and last that long, but that's kind of something I'll work on eventually. And do want to tell you that one of the vendors there makes the Hillbilly Jams. What they do is they kind of make all these flavors of jelly, interesting flavors. And if you ever want to look it up online or Google Hillbilly Jams, you'll find out a little bit more about it. But among things they do is they make all these flavors with moonshine. Now, let me tell y'all something, people. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. So I will say that never tried moonshine straight and don't care to, but it does add good flavor to the jelly. Some of the jellies have that flavor in them, and of course you cook jelly when you make it, so that kind of makes it so it just kind of gets rid of all the alcohol content that could possibly make you drunk. So it's a good thing that they cook it like they do when they make it. It'll take them a while to make it, and I've collected a lot of their flavors from there and tried a lot of them. There's one flavor that has tomatoes in it, which I don't like. I don't like tomatoes, that's why. So that tells you all a little bit more about that and answer some questions as to the brand that was on the jar. And I saved those jars after I finish them so I can use them to store to mix finishes in or soak things in with oil or whatever I might need a little glass jar for. So that's among things we've got there. And I've just demonstrated to you there how I kind of soak things. I'll take any kind of container that's big enough to fit the carving in to fill the container with linseed oil with the carving in it once it's in there, and finally just let it soak for however long it needs to. But I appreciate you all coming and watching this video concerning the guinea pig and the little carving of cedar made from it. And hopefully eventually I'll get to show you all how I carve a little gerbil from a little scrap of African mahogany. I've already done one of those. Hopefully I'll do a video when I do the next one, and hope you all will come around. Thank you. Goodbye.